Hello and welcome to the show. Today I am playing WRC 4, one of the very few, I think it's about the only proper rally game there is anymore. I'm a big fan of rally games. I'm just going to do a quick stage. It'll just pick a random stage and give me a random car and say go have fun with it. It's one of the very few proper rally games out there. The Colin McRae Dirt Series, or now the Dirt Series, is a great series. I absolutely love Dirt 3, but it's not a proper rally game. It does have a few rally stages in it, but there's a lot of other stuff in it. It's not a really true rally game. This is the only one out there anymore, which is a shame. There used to be quite a few of them. I loved the old Colin McRae rally games. I've played various different rally games over the past. I don't recognise this track. I've spent an awful long time, and I don't recognise this stage at all that I'm playing on. Okay, I must have done this rally at some point. Okay, we will try, and I might not do particularly well. So let's get started with the bad points of this game. In all honesty, this really isn't the most spectacular of games, yet I somehow do really quite like it. So as I said, I've played quite a lot of it, and I pretty much know all of the stages. There are 13 different rallies on this game, and each of them have got 6 or 7 different stages. However, these stages are not exactly what you would call unique. There is, let's just say, at a guesstimate, maybe 18 kilometres of road per actual rally. It gets reused very regularly. You'll go down the same bit of road multiple times. Sometimes you'll go it in reverse. Sometimes you'll take a slightly different turning. The start points will be moved at different places along this road. There really isn't actually a huge amount to it. Now, that's why I'm surprised that there is this bit here that I've never driven on. I don't know what this rally is, but I don't remember driving it. I haven't quite finished all of the actual WRC career bits, so it's possible this is a rally that I haven't taken part in yet. But yeah, each stage there's not a huge amount to it. You see it all fairly early on. Oh God, where on earth are we going with this? It's sort of it's kind of a wettish tarmac, I think, is what I'm on at the moment. Oh God, I'm trying to think and talk and drive on here is a bit of a pain. There we go. We're around here. Yeah, there isn't a huge amount of road. It can be kind of a good thing in some respects, in that you kind of get to know the stages, so you kind of get used to them. You kind of know where the horrible corners are, which makes pushing the cars, which they're pretty damn quick, a little bit easier. That's a good thing, because the difficulty on here is incredibly tough. When you stick this up to, I think it's the 10 on the difficulty, whatever the highest difficulty is on this game, it is a blooming tough game. I haven't driven on this for a few days now, and I am instantly out of my depth. Oh crap. We do have a rewind thing for when it all goes horribly wrong. Yeah, this is a tough old game to win against the AIs on the hardest difficulties. Not impossible, it's not unfairly tough, but you really have to be absolutely nailing it the entire way. So it helps in a way that the stages are oh, I actually got back up. I got up to third. I must have had a good final sector. It helps that the stages are kind of memorable, if that makes sense, because, well, it kind of makes it a little bit easier on me. I would personally prefer there to be a lot more road to it, a lot longer stages, etc., and maybe a bit slower AI to compensate for that. As far as game modes go, you got your normal rally modes. You can do single stages, single rallies, or you can do your own custom championship, or you have an entire career mode. Now this works very similar to the MotoGP game that I played a bit of. Reason why? These are made by the same people, I believe, or at least part of the same. I think it's Milestone work on this, and they work on the MotoGP series as well. So the career mode is very similar. You can start off in, is it Junior WRC, I think, and then there's WRC 3, WRC 2, and then the main WRC that I'm currently in my championship. They have an interesting way of doing this series, though. It's probably the best way I've seen in one of these games that you kind of go up the formulas. They have a great way of doing it on here, in that the lower formulas don't go to all of the rally, to all of the countries. Now, I don't know if in the real WRC, if that is the case. I don't know if the Junior WRC only does sort of 2 or 3 rallies a season. But basically what it means on here is there are 13 countries in the WRC or the calendar, if you like. In the WRC 3 and WRC 2 races, you only visit 7, and they're different 7, but they're not all of the countries, so you get a kind of a mix. You also get just a shorter season, so you don't have to do as many rallies with the slower cars until you get up to the top 4. I'm not doing very well. I've driven on here for a while. Good God, where am I going? That's not where I want to be going. That's a tree over there. So yeah, early on you don't have to slug through all of the stages with the slower cars to get to the interesting vehicles. In fact, actually, I think after the first season, if you do very well in the WRC 3, you could move straight up to the top formula if you wanted to. I chose not to. But you can skip them out, and you don't have to spend forever driving the slower cars around every single possible track to get to the top formula. And that's a problem that a lot of games that have these kind of career modes suffer from, is that you end up having to spend so long with all the lower tier vehicles, you get bored of the game before you ever get to the top stuff. Whereas on here, no, it's very well done, I found. And because you're visiting mostly different countries, it doesn't get boring doing the early stuff. I mean, the cars handle very, very well. But they all are pretty much the same. So I'm driving the Volkswagen at the moment. There is not a huge amount of difference between this and, say, the Citroen or the Ford. The lower tiers are front-wheel drive cars. I believe there's only... Ooh, we've gone off the edge of the cliff. That's not gone to plan. I believe the junior one and the 3 one are both a single mate thing. So the juniors, there's only Ford Fiestas. The 3 is a Citroen of some sort, and they're both front-wheel drive. And you know that they're front-wheel drive. You can tell that them cars are front-wheel drive. When you move up to the four-wheel drive beasts, basically, again, you can feel that these things here are four-wheel drive. There isn't a huge amount of difference between the actual cars. I mean, there is a bit of power difference between the second tier and the tier that I'm driving at the moment. You do notice that the main cars are, as you would expect, faster because they're accelerating, perhaps a little bit better on the hand. It's all very much of a muchness. They're nice cars to drive. It is a nice game to drive on. But yeah, there's not a huge amount, oopsie, of variation. I'm really not doing so well on this. Right, I've got to take a minute to think while I'm trying to thread this car around this course. As you can see from my times, I will admit this is not my cleanest run. I also think that this is not my best stage. But yeah, it is tough as nails if you are going to try and get... Ooh, that's gone a little bit wide there. To beat the top AI. Oh yes, damage. Of course, there is a damage system on this game. Again, it reminds me quite a lot of the old Colin McRae games. You bash up your car, every 2 stages you go to a service park, and then you have so much time to fix your car. It's not the most detailed damage thing that I've ever seen, sort of like the time used to fix your car. But it means sometimes if you've wrecked your car up pretty badly, you have to make a choice. Do you fix perhaps I can't remember all the things. Do you fix the turbo? Do you fix the engine? Or do you try and fix the steering and the brakes and that kind of thing? So if you do smash your car up, you are going to have to manage your time. It's just it's a nice little detail. I mean, the cars they have a fair amount of damage on them. It's not the most spectacular of damage sort of systems. Ooh, that's very bumpy through there. That's incredibly bumpy, and oh god, I'm not doing well at all on this stage. We're running very wide. Okay, and handbrake. There we go. You will notice that this is not the prettiest of games as well. This is not a massively good-looking game, in all honesty. The cockpit views of the cars, I know WRC cars are not the most highly detailed of interiors, but ooh, crap, we're going off the edge again. We saved it. Yeah, these are not the best looking cars I've ever seen in a video. They're not particularly highly detailed. None of them are really. I mean, they're perfectly serviceable. I'm glad that there is a cockpit view in here, but none of them are massively detailed vehicles particularly. Oh, we've gone a bit wide into there. We'll just do that. I'll cheat a little bit on this game. I'm trying to talk and listen to Co-Driver and everything at the same time. Doesn't really work. And also sort of the rest of the graphics. I mean, the people in the crowd when you're stuck in the service park, or when you're looking at the service park menu. It's kind of it reminds me a little bit actually of the second Dirt game, the service park thing. But no, it's not a particularly pretty game. As far as weather effects go, there is rain. As far as I can tell, it's just like a set thing. So whenever you go to England, it rains. The Wales Rally is just the only one that I've seen it have rain in. think it occasionally snows on a couple of the stages in Sweden. It's not massively detailed on any of the effects front, really. And at this stage, you would probably be thinking that, well, this is not a particularly good game. In all honesty, it's, you know, looking at the simple facts, there's not a huge amount to each of the countries. Yeah, there are quite a few countries, but if you boil it down, there's probably no more sort of length of rally stages in here than there is in the Colin McRae dirt games. So really, there's not a huge amount of choice of cars either. Although there aren't that many sort of rally vehicles. I think there are four different ones to choose from in the top tier and 4 in the second tier, and then 1 in each of the ones below that. There's not a huge variety in this game. Is pretty much the theme that you might be getting. However, despite all of that, I really like this game. I know I shouldn't really, but I do. And the simple fact of the matter is, you are constantly busy. When you're trying to drive, when you're doing a race, when you're doing a rally stage on here, you are completely focused on getting the car around. The rest of the things just doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant because you are constantly fighting this car to try and get it around whatever stage. You do not have a minute's pause to do anything else. The stages are incredibly technical, as you've seen on the first 2 that I've done. They are incredibly technical. It's very rare you get above 120 kilometers an hour. There's not very. I think there's a place in Australia you do it. Maybe in the Finland rally you get it a bit quicker. But most of the time you are doing second and third geared corners. There are constant hairpins. You just do not have a moment to think about it, and I like that. I like the challenge. A lot of the time games try to make, or a lot of the games that I've played recently, they try to make the things, you know, nice and smooth and fairly open so you can be quick through there. They don't worry so much about the technical sections, and this is just full of incredibly technical courses, and of course you end out of position for one hairpin. When there's sort of like a string of corners, you've got to be in position for absolutely all of them, and if you are slightly out on one corner, it's going to screw up your run through the next corner, and so on and so forth. It makes, again, a bit like the Trackmania series, if you like. You've got to be very precise, almost getting these perfect runs through these corners to string together a good lap, or to string a good stage time, I should say. And with such difficult AI on here, if you want to play with such difficult AI, it makes it incredibly addicting to me, trying to go faster than the AI. Now I've been out of practice, as I said, I haven't played this game for a little while. I can win these stages, I can compete with the AI on the hardest difficulty. I'm just a little bit out of practice, forgotten quite what I'm doing, and already I'm quite a long way off the times that I could set down these stages. And it was probably one of the hardest games I've ever had to try and commentate on while driving, because I've constantly got to try and think of what I'm doing, pressing handbrake, changing gears. I don't think I've ever used handbrake so much in a bloody racing game. I tend to avoid using the handbrake as much as I can, but on some of these corners it's just quicker to do that. Oh dear, and then you don't want to do anything silly under braking. There is so much to think about, and that's why I love this game, because all of the stages you kind of forget that, you know, you're driving over the same piece of road again and again, when you've got to constantly try and figure out a way of threading your car through these incredible obstacles at stupid high speeds, really, or stupid high speeds for the course. Yeah, you are only doing, what am I doing at the moment, 70-80 kilometers an hour, but because of the tightness of the courses, it all comes together. It makes it an excellent driving experience. Trying to drive these cars down these courses it is really very good fun. I kind of threw away, I was doing alright in that rally until I started recording this, whereby I'm second in the championship behind Latvala. Okay. Yeah, the actual driving aspect of this game, it's phenomenal. There's nothing that I've played that can match it for the actual rallying, driving down. So if there were more stages too, if there was just sort of a lot more road to it, if you like, it would be unrivaled in pretty much rally games. There's just not quite enough to it. Other criticisms, I do have a little problem with the pace notes. At times they can be a little bit strange. Again, I'm kind of glad that there are a smaller number of roads, because the pace notes can be a little bit dodgy. We've got a paddocky style thing. Again, similar to MotoGP, only this time we're in a garage instead of like a little trailer. Yeah, you'll see the resemblance between the two of them. Let's go. Let's leave the championship before I do any more damage to to it when I'll have to practice some more before I try carrying on that. Yeah, the pace notes can be a little dodgy. I don't know. I'll just do random stage again. There's sometimes they will say a corner's a 2 right. It'll tell you that there's a 2 right head, and that means a very tight corner. So in generally, you'll have to brake, slow down, maybe need a handbrake at times to get around that corner. However, it doesn't always have the same meaning to some corners. So one corner they'll say a 2 right, and it'll be an incredibly slow speed corner. The next corner, next time they'll say a 2 right, and you barely need to brake. There's a little bit of inconsistency going on with the pace notes. Oh, I really bumped that front bumper. Whoopsie. There's another thing that they like to say is a junction left or a junction right, but it doesn't tell you how steep that junction is, how tight that corner is. So it can be an absolutely flat out junction, or it can be a very nasty hairpin of a junction. It just doesn't tell you, which is when the actual knowledge of a stage kind of comes in quite useful. I mean, I'm sure in real rallying pace notes aren't absolutely 100% perfect, but I'm pretty sure they would be a little bit more intelligent, shall we say, than the ones we get on here. It's okay. It's passable on the most part, but I think a lot of it is down to the fact that you just know the stages after a while. If I was trying to beat the hardest difficulty on here on stages that I constantly didn't know, it would be very tough. It would be incredibly tough with just slightly dodgy pace notes. Try it, because you'd have to trust, complete trust in the pace notes, and quite frankly I don't. So, whoa dear, that's a bump off a barrier, and I've gone round in a circle. Yeah, I just don't trust the pace notes for me to be able to push as much as you would need to. So a lot of it relies on your actual knowledge of each of the stages. That's a very big jump. We've got a flying forward over there. Oh, we hit a bump, and we're in the crowd. This has not been... It started off so well, and then this third sector has all gone to pot. Yeah, you've got to be a little wary of the pace notes. Sometimes they aren't particularly well timed. You can actually fiddle around with at what point they say the pace notes. Somewhere in the options you could change how early they say them. I haven't. This is not going particularly well. Oh, there we go. Let's try another stage, shall we? That was that one was terrible. Yeah, you got to watch out a little bit on the pace notes. The other thing that I was going to say that I've now completely forgotten about. Where was I going after pace notes? There was something. Oh yes, I remember. Rolling of your car. Okay, now I'm a big fan of rolling cars. Hey, we go to Monte Carlo. I've rolled many a vehicle in many a game. No game is it quite so easy to roll a vehicle on here. Now I know rally cars have very spectacular crashes, yes, because there is no walls as such. There is no runoff areas. There is no sand traps. So yes, things tend to get a little bit hectic, a little bit scary in a rally car crash. However, on here it is far too easy to roll your car. Now, I mean, if I chucked my vehicle at 100 kilometers an hour at a banking, yes, sure, you would expect the car to do a James Bond-esque flip across the road. But on here, you don't need to be going particularly fast or have a particular big bank. You just clip something and it puts the car on its side. It doesn't take much at all to roll a car on here, to the point of which well, I'd say it's unrealistic, but it's kind of a bit irritating even when you're driving along and you clip a tiny bank and suddenly, oh, car's on its roof again, or if most of the time it doesn't even go onto its roof, it just sort of skids along on its side. Yeah, it's a little bit on the irritating front. You will learn to have to be incredibly precise with your car on this game, because it does not take any prisoners. Yes, rallying, you tend to have to be very bloody precise to go quickly with a rally car, but yeah, just grazing over a bank at low speeds, I wouldn't think would cause a car to go, not a car like one of these, to suddenly go onto its side. It's just too easy. Ooh, okay, that was a little bit close through there. Again, I'm not doing I'm too out of practice. The game you really have to spend quite a while getting used to. I probably shouldn't have stopped playing until I'd completed the WRC career thing, because it'll take me so long to bloody get back into it, because you kind of build up to it through the lower tiers. It's a pretty good way of doing things, if I'm honest, going through the lower tiers, getting used to the cars and how quickly you can take certain corners and what you can get away with the rally cars. That now I'm out of practice, I mean, ooh, that's, well, yeah, I'm now struggling. I could win this state. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did win the Monte Carlo rally when I came to do it. but I can't go anywhere near as quickly as I used to. Another pet peeve I have really with sort of championship games is in a real championship in whatever sport, whichever racing you're talking about, there isn't always the same cars in first, second and third. I mean, there will often be the same vehicles in first, second and third, but in here, if you, oh dear, oopsie, we've done that wrong, whoopsie, that's not even what I wanted to do, but yeah, the game will nearly always have the same vehicles first, second, third. It will very nearly always have the same sort of finishing order. So if you want to win a rally, you have to win every single stage, pretty much. Unless you win one stage by an absolutely huge margin and so on. But it's always the same. I mean, yes, motorsport you often will have the same contenders, but you don't normally. I'm not doing so well now. I'm trying to talk. It's pretty bloody hard. Yeah, it has the same order, so there's almost no leeway. Occasionally, a car will retire. As far as I can tell, there is no mechanical faults as such, so your car doesn't break down on its own accord. Occasionally, one person will randomly DNF from a race. Otherwise, it's near enough the same order every single time, and that annoys me about a championship. You shouldn't have to win every single rally, every single round to win a championship. It doesn't work. Even with Schumacher and Vettel, when they were dominating the Formula 1, they didn't win every single race in a series. They didn't have exactly the same finishing order every single time. You want a little bit of variation. It makes things a little bit more interesting for me as a player. It means that you're more likely to carry on. Like, it's very easy in a racing game to just give up and go, oh well, I'll restart and try again. When you know you have to win every single stage, if you don't have to win every single stage, you're more likely to carry on with stuff. I don't know, it's just something that really irritates me about racing games. Almost every racing game does it. I wish they would have a bit of variation in the way the championships ran. It'd make it more fun, I think, personally. Anyway, I'd like to see things like actual mechanical faults, but I don't know if you bash your car up so much whether you can actually kill it. I never really got to that stage. I've tended to be avoiding, whoopsie, as best I can. As I say that, I hit a bloody pole. But I'm really out of practice. I used to be bloody fast at this. It's been a week and I've lost it all. That's the level of commitment you need with this game if you're going to keep being good at it. In conclusion, would I recommend this game? I would. I would very much recommend this game, as I've highly enjoyed it. I've spent an awful lot of time playing this. I think it's a very good game, despite the fact it has quite a few flaws. A bit like Test Drive Unlimited 2. Test Drive Unlimited 2 has many flaws, yet I still enjoy it. And that is the same with this. The actual driving, the actual stages on here are so intense. There is no other racing game out there that even gets near this. No rally game I don't think I've ever played. I've gone exploring. Oopsie, I pressed a button. That wasn't the button that I wanted to press. We've wedged it completely. Can we go? There's forward. There we go. There's a forward gear in there somewhere. We're free. Okay. This is not a good stage. Yeah, there's no other game that I've ever played that is quite as intense as this. That you'll be doing something. You have pretty much no time to rest on any of the stages that I've come across. There are there's the odd straight. Look at this. This is about as much rest as you will ever get in this game. This is probably one of the longest straights there is in this game before you then have to worry about braking and handbraking and gear changing. And yeah, there is so much going on in this game. That's why I like it. There is just nothing that can compete with it. I will forgive it the flaws of the lack of area, the sometimes dodgy pace notes, because I really enjoy the challenge. I really do. So yeah, I would recommend this game, especially if you can get it on sale. I picked this up for £6, I think, or for Steam. It's definitely worth the £6. Maybe not worth £40 when it came out, or £30 or however much it bloody cost, but it is certainly worth sort of £10–15, and if you can get it on sale, even better. It is good fun. If you love your rallying games, I would think you will find something to enjoy about this. No, it is certainly not perfect. It's far from it, but it's probably the most hectic, certainly demands the most concentration out of any racing game that I've played for a very long time. That was a terrible stage to finish on, and I do apologise. It also keeps telling me a warning about trying to connect to the internet, and I don't know why it can't do it. Yeah, that is a terrible stage for me to end on. But there we go, that is it for this video, guys. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.